If you are new here, something to know about me is that I love to escape to cozy cabins by myself and crochet and knit, read and hike, and just generally enjoy my own company. That is exactly what we're doing on this vlog. I'm staying in Welch's, Oregon, which is about like 45 minutes outside of Portland. It's a cute little town at the base of Mount Hood. And I'm staying in what some would describe as the most charming cabin in the world. There's so much like wood and cute quilts and just cute little tchotchkes everywhere. Tons of windows, natural light. It's right along a stream, so you can like hear the stream at night. The location is perfect. So when I travel by myself, I like to find a place that is both somewhat isolated, but not completely in the middle of nowhere. I want to be able to still sort of be around people, like go to the store, get gas if I need to, whatever, but not be like in a suburb, right? So anyway, we are tucked, we're on our own, we have our own space. Okay, we need to talk about knitting plans. I really have a lot of things I want to knit this fall, and I was hoping to chip away at some of them this weekend. I'm still such a slow knitter because I'm sort of a beginner, so I might not get much done, but I do need to talk to you about kind of the projects that are in my brain. I should probably mention the vest that I've been working on since like July. If you are not new here, you've probably heard me talk about it. I'll probably just do like a try on of this like tomorrow and we can talk through specifics, but I'm getting really sick of it and I think I might need a break. So I have 3 sweaters that I want to make this fall winter season. I mean, there's like 12 that I want to make, but turns out I am really slow, and so I'm probably only going to be able to make like 1 or 2 or maybe 3. So the 3 sweaters that are on my brain: the Olga sweater from Petite Knit, the Yoon sweater, I think that's how you say it, and I can't remember the designer right now, and the Lakes pullover from Ozetta. Those are the 3 that I sort of have my sights set on. I was really hoping to work on the Olga sweater this weekend, but I don't have yarn for it yet. And I also don't have yarn for the Yoon sweater. So by default, that leaves the Lakes pullover, which I am excited about, and I have a brown merino silk blend that I want to use for it. I got this yarn in Maine when I was there, and it's really soft and it's a really pretty color. And I have been wanting to make a brown sweater. Even before I could learn to knit, I have been wanting like the perfect brown sweater because I got a brown sweater from, I think, Old Navy like 10 years ago. It's kind of just like a basic brown sweater, and I actually do reach for it quite a bit because when I'm getting dressed, I'm like, oh, this would look great with a brown sweater, and then I go put it on, and I am reminded that I hate the fit of it. It's just really long and narrow, and like the arms are kind of fitted, and it's just like, ugh, I don't know. It's more of like a sensory thing than a flattery thing. I just want things that are like loose and not super tight to my body, especially my hips. So I like things that are a bit more like oversized. I think this sweater is a good example. It's like sort of oversized and sort of cropped. And so that's what I want to go for with a brown sweater as well. The Lakes pullover I think is quite similar to what I'm going for, what I'm looking for. I'll probably want to crop it a bit and maybe bring the neckline down a little bit. It looks kind of high. But of course, when you're making your own sweater, you can do whatever you want to do. So I'm going to do a swatch for that on this trip. I did, I believe, 5 gauges for the vest. None of them worked out. I finally just went ahead with the project. The other thing that I might potentially dabble in on this trip, I have these 3 bunches of Malabrigo Rios, I think is what it's called. I got these also in Maine, and I used 2 of them on a baby bonnet that was really cute. Loved working with this stuff. I want to make something kind of just quick and easy and a palette cleanser, something to remind me that I don't really suck at knitting, which is how I kind of feel right now. And so I found 2 free patterns for pot holders from Pearl Soho. These are the 2 that I'm kind of looking at. And you might be thinking, pot holders are so lame. And I would typically agree with you. However, I actually do need pot holders. I think some went missing in my move over the summer. And because I moved this summer, my house does feel sort of empty, especially in like the homewares department. We sized up a bit with our house, so there's like lots of rooms that are kind of empty and just lifeless, and I need more like cutesy things around. And I really do like these pot holders. I would totally use them. They would make my house, my kitchen cuter. So say what you want about pot holders, but I think it would be a great project. So I would potentially work on that as well this weekend, but we'll see how much I get done. I am notorious for biting off more than I can chew, or than any human could possibly chew. It is really late. I am gonna go get cozy and do some knitting, and then tomorrow I'm so excited because I'm gonna start my day off with a little hike, and it is the most gorgeous time of the year. It's early October, so I think we're in store for a pretty cute weekend.
you guys a book check-in update. So on one of my last vlogs, I mentioned that I felt a reading slump like coming on, like I could feel it. Oh, hold on, we're going over a log. I was completely right. I fully have entered a book slump. And when I was looking for my next book, I really wanted something kind of outside my normal genres, which are like a lot of fantasy, some like high fantasy, some more like cozy fantasy. Sometimes I do like romance, like contemporary romance stuff or whatever. Those are like my normal genres, but I branch out as well. I also like a lot of classics. Anyways, so I was looking for something that was kind of outside the norm, but just a really good book. And my inspiration was along the lines of Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, which I loved. It's very like sci-fi-y, and there's a lot of like math and science speak, and I did not expect to really like it very much, but it had such good reviews that I was like, oh, I'll give it a try, and it was amazing. It's like one of my favorite books. So anyway, I was like, okay, what's something like that that's like outside my norm, but just like a good book? And I had heard of this book called Dungeon Crawler Carl that also has really good reviews and does not look like something that I generally really go for, but I was like, who knows, maybe it'll be fun. And so I'm almost done with it. I've been listening to it and I have like an hour-ish left. Guys, it's been such a tough read, and I do not finish books. It's driving me crazy. It's very like video gamey, loot boxes and levels, and like, I don't know. I also do play a little bit of video games, and like my husband's really into gaming, so I really have no shade against that in general, but just the way that this book is set up is so like cringy to me. And there's like a talking cat as comic relief. I don't know. If you love this book, again, it's very popular. A lot of people like it. If you've read it and you like it, no shade to you. That is completely fine. There's probably a lot of books that I like that other people don't like. I'm so over it, but I will be finishing it on this hike. And then I have queued up next to read Babel by R.F. Kuang. That is one that also has really, really good reviews. It's more like dark academia, I think, which is a little more my speed. I'm hoping that will get me out of my slump a bit. And that also has, I think, kind of some like fall, like I said, academia kind of vibes. So I think that would be nice for this trip.
The hike really could not have gone better. It was so beautiful, and it was like 10 minutes away from the cabin, so it was perfect. Back, I'm cleaned up. I have kind of like wet hair, but that's okay. I want to talk to you guys about knitting. Again, I did my gauge swatch last night and I blocked it this morning. Did you like the forks I used? Because I didn't have any pins or anything, and I wanted to get like a really, I don't know, accurate idea of what the sweater would be like. Okay, so here's my swatch. It is on gauge, which is the most important and exciting thing. The maybe bad news, maybe I don't care news is how like stripy it is. It definitely has some variation in color in the yarn, which I think was hard to tell in the actual skein. And I'm not like mad about it. I don't know how to feel about it. I think because the swatch is such short rows, it looks very like stripe, 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 stripe. And I'm thinking that for an actual sweater where you're doing kind of longer rows, that it would be a bit more speckles and things like that, which I don't really hate. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to carry on. I'm going to cast on the sweater, get started, and I think I'll be able to tell pretty quickly if the stripes are going to bug me. But feeling happy about that. Okay, I was going to talk about my vest maybe and do a little try on. I have finished like the body of it, and I have finished the armholes. So all that's left to do is the button band and the neckline. But my concern is that it's going to be very small. And I mentioned that all my swatches came out incorrectly, so you might be thinking like, oh, were all your swatches small? No, they were all big and very big. Like I could not get the amount of stitches to be a small enough size. They all came out too big. I was going down several needle sizes. It still was just too big. I consulted a friend of mine who is like a professional knitter. She makes patterns and like knows a lot about it. And she watched me knit and measured my swatch and gave me advice. She kind of told me what needle size to do and just start the project and see how it goes. So I thought the vest would be too big, right? I think I sized down like one smaller size than I normally would have just because I was anticipating that it would be too big. and it just looks really small. I don't know. Let's try it on. Yes, my suspicions have been confirmed. I mean, I tried it on a few times kind of throughout making the body, and it seemed small-ish, but like maybe salvageable. But it's just quite tight and small. And I know that it's gonna stretch, right? Like it's curling in on itself a lot, as you can see. And I know that it will stretch when it's blocked. And obviously we would have a button band here, and we'll have like a neckline here. And so I feel like it is close. It's not like completely unwearable. I mean, it is kind of. So basically what I am thinking is that I am just going to set it aside. I mean, even if I finished it right this minute, I wouldn't really be able to wear it until next like spring, till it starts getting warmer again. So I'm just going to set it aside for now and not worry about it, and I'll bring it back out maybe in the spring and decide if I want to try to finish it, or if I maybe wanted to frog the whole thing, which is on one hand extremely devastating because I have been putting honestly like dozens of hours into this. It's been an extremely long project for me, maybe not for a pro knitter, but on the other hand, I genuinely learned so much while I was making this. I did like a ribbing on the bottom, I did I-cord edges on the arms, I did shaping increases and decreases. I don't feel like it was a complete waste of time. It's just a little bit sad, and it makes me very grateful for my primary craft of sewing, where even if something doesn't really go to plan, you didn't waste months of your time. Most likely it was maybe like a wasted few hours, or maybe like a few days at most, which is still frustrating. So anyway, I'm setting this aside for now. I'm gonna work on my sweater, but for now, we need to get dinner because I'm starving. Knitting away for several hours. This is what I have so far, and I did change gears a little bit. As I was getting everything together to start on the pot holders, I kind of had a brain blast and was like, why don't I make a hat? Which I think seems very cliche and maybe like a lame project, but I love a hat. My kids wear hats, my husband wears hats. So I found a pattern. It's called the Thekla hat from Hobby. I'll link it, but it's a free pattern. It's like cute and stripy. Genuinely, it has given me such a much needed confidence boost and just reminder that I am capable of making things. Knitting has really thrown me for a loop. I think more than sewing ever did, more than crochet ever did. I also was just watching a vlog from Aver Paula about all of her winter, fall, autumn knitting and crochet plans, and I'm so glad I watched it because she had a lot of good recommendations for like headscarf and hood patterns and projects, and I really love her specific style. Like I think sometimes headscarf type things to me can look quite grandma matronly, which is not really a bad thing at all, but I think that with her style and the patterns that she showed, they're like so cute. I would totally wear them. Anyway, so I wrote down all those ideas. I'm saving them in my Ravelry. I don't really post my projects there. I'm still kind of new to it, but I've been like storing ideas there. Anyway, so I'm kind of thinking with the success so far of this beanie and with the ideas of those headscarves, I really think that maybe I should just put a pause on bigger projects like sweaters for now, make a couple smaller things, get some successes under my belt, boost my confidence, and then maybe jump into sweaters. I really hate having to put training wheels on myself. I'd much rather kind of dive headfirst into things that are maybe slightly above my skill level and just muddle through. That's definitely how I learned to sew, but I think I've been humbled by knitting so far. It appears that we're about to be soaked, which is maybe exciting. I love a misty hike.
can normally see Mount Hood right here, but it's just fog, which I think is super cute. You're joking. Are you kidding me? A warm toasty breakfast sandwich after a rainy hike? Really? Doesn't get much better than that. That really was the most beautiful hike. And yes, it rained the whole time, but they're like small drops, right? Sprinkles. So it really wasn't bad at all. This place was so cute, by the way. Fernie's. Okay, I started reading Babel, you guys. The way it has healed me already. I'm like, I don't know, maybe like 10 chapters in, and it is so much more my speed than the book that I had been reading. In fact, at the end of that book, it's kind of like jokey, silly, haha the whole time, a dungeon crawler Carl. And at the end of the book, it was like, congratulations, you finished this book without throwing it against the wall. There was a bunch of like jokey things throughout the whole book like that. But this one actually did make me laugh because I was like, you have actually no idea. But we're on to better things. One thing that I noticed about Babel that I really enjoy in books overall is when the time frame of the story is really long. I can't get behind a book where everything happens in like a week or even like a couple weeks or a month or something like that. I need it to span preferably years, at least months or like a year. And that really carries over with every genre I read, every type of book. I just think it gives it such an automatic depth and importance, like all of everything that happens in the book. If there's ever a time where the narrator kind of just summarizes like, okay, and then a few weeks later, blah, 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 I'm always like, yes. I don't know if that's something that other people like too, but so far in this book, the main character, I feel like I'm not spoiling anything because I barely know anything about it already. The main character, the book starts when he's like 10 maybe, and now he's like 17, 18. And you know, we've gotten like snippets along the way, but I feel like it's so important to kind of like understand like where they're coming from and the journey is progressing, and like I feel like we care so much about him already because we've known him since he was a child, but really it's only been a few chapters. Anyway, Love and Babel, highly recommend. We'll see, I guess, how it ends. I'm still pretty early into it. I've been going through a bit of a like makeup renaissance, I guess, over the past really couple of years, where I want to be much more intentional and thoughtful about my makeup and my routines. Growing up, makeup was talked about in a way that's like, yes, it's a thing that women have to wear because there are problems and flaws and we need to fix those. Like, how embarrassing if you are not wearing makeup. It's a thing you have to do. And the older I get, the more it's just like, okay, I don't know. Do I actually want to wear makeup, or is it just something that is such a staple in society? So I think I've kind of come to the realization as I've been thinking about this more and kind of experimenting more with like wearing it, not wearing it. What I actually like is to sometimes wear makeup. Like, I don't hate it altogether, but I don't like wearing a lot of makeup. I especially don't love like foundation. I mean, I do wear it sometimes, but usually it's like a tinted moisturizer or like super light foundation. I really hate the feeling of just like stuff on my skin, you know? So kind of what I have defaulted to, like my bare minimum, is skincare, which I'm not a big skincare person. Guys, don't tell anyone, but up until like a couple years ago, I pretty much just washed my face with bar soap. I know I'm gonna get like crucified by some people for admitting that, but it's the truth. I just never had particularly bad skin, and so I never really had to take special care of it. Anyway, that's a tangent. So I do a little bit of skincare. I have like serums and like moisturizers and stuff. Nothing crazy. And then I actually do really like just a touch of mascara. Nothing crazy. Those are like my, yes, I enjoy this makeup and skincare things. And then everything else is sort of like, sometimes I will if it's a special occasion. So something I've been wanting to do forever, and especially in the last couple years as I've been thinking more about this, is to get a lash lift, which, if you're unfamiliar, is basically like, I don't know if I'm describing this correctly, but it's basically like a perm for your eyelashes. It lasts like 6 weeks, I think. But it kind of just holds your lashes in their curled shape, and you can get them tinted as well so that they kind of just look like you're always wearing light mascara.
which is kind of like my dream, right? I feel like in general, I don't really hate my eyelashes. Again, I don't want to think of it like, oh, this is a problem that I need to fix. It's just like, this is something that I enjoy. And so I've been wanting to try it forever. Anyway, when I was coming up through Portland on my way here, I stopped by my sister-in-law's business. She's an esthetician. She has like a whole studio salon place. She does facials and waxing and brows and eyelashes and like a bunch of stuff. So she does lash lifts. We only come through Portland every once in a while, and usually when we do, it's like for some sort of family event, and I don't really have time to do side quests. But because I was on my own this time, I was able to go in and see her. So I went and got a lash lift, and that was really fun. I should have filmed it. Let's see if I can twist you to give you a better view. I also don't want to like get all up in your business, but I feel like you can tell that they're nice and long. Again, it's not like I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh my gosh, I really need to wear mascara, but it's just kind of like a fun extra thing, and it feels very natural. Anyway, I also need to show you my brown sweater that I was telling you about the other day. This is my brown sweater from Old Navy that I've had for many years. And I think you can immediately see the issue. It's just like, bleh. I really hate it. I love the color. I think it goes well with my like natural coloring, but you can see like when I sit back, it really is just, and I even have kind of pulled it up a little. It's just long and narrow, and the sleeves are long and narrow. There's no shape. There's nothing interesting about it. It's just, bleh. And yeah, like the back is horrible because my hips are my widest point, and so it really just, everything sits on me like a shelf. I really need a top to either be like wide so that it's gonna like hang over the hump, or be like really cropped so that it doesn't shelfify on my buns. Knitting for many hours, and I really have gotten a lot done. It's looking so good, and it stretches a lot. I know when it's unstretched, it looks like, who's gonna wear that? A baby? No, I really think it's going to fit me. So that is coming along nicely. Also, do you like that I immediately changed my sweater because the brown one was driving me crazy? I have been listening to more of Babel. I'm really liking it. It's making me like so excited about reading again. There's no better feeling than having like a great book that you're in the middle of and just always wanting to read it. I also wanted to give you a book recommendation / talk about my favorite book ever, and I may have talked about this book before. If I have, so sorry. You can just fast forward this part. But my favorite book of all time is Precious Bane by Mary Webb. I first read it when I was a teenager, long time ago, and I read it every few years just because I love it so much. How do I summarize it? Okay, basically it's about the main character. Her name is Prudence, and this is I think like early 1900s, like turn of the century, I believe. I always thought it was earlier, but I recently found out that the author wrote it in like 1925. So I think it actually is early 1900s. Anyway, the main character, she has a cleft palate. And so at the time, everybody was like, obviously super rude to her, called her a witch, weren't very nice to her. Whereas now, you know, everybody's just like nice to each other all the time, right? The book starts when she, I think is like a teenager or maybe a young adult, and her dad dies. They're farmers. It's like a really small town, I think in northern England. Their dialect is like really interesting, like the way it's written. No one has made this comparison before, but it's almost like Love Island. When you watch UK Love Island, you know, because all of the different areas in the UK have such different like dialects and way that they speak and all this stuff. And it's like when you watch a bunch of Love Island and your mind starts thinking in these like ways that they talk and like weird sayings that they have. It's kind of like that when you read this book, because like literally their language is written out, and even Prue, as she narrates, the way she like writes things out is so interesting. It like takes a little bit to kind of get used to the slang of it all. Anyway, that is a tangent. So her dad dies, her brother takes over the farm, her older brother, and he's like industrious. He's a businessman. His whole goal, as soon as his dad is out of the picture, is like, we are going to work our butts off and we are going to not be poor anymore. I'm going to be like a businessman. You're going to be a lady. You're going to be like highly educated. Everyone in the town's going to like look up to you as like this great lady, and we're going to get you like surgery or something. I don't really know what that looked like at the time, but he's like, yeah, we're going to be able to fix your lip. And she's like super into that idea because people kind of hate her, unfortunately. So that's kind of like the premise, the jumping off point. I don't want to spoil too much. It's so good. I feel like it's such a journey of like self-discovery. I don't know. I'm like not a mushy person at all, but I really, really relate to Prue. In fact, this is, I think, what makes it my favorite book of all time, or one of the things, is of any character, any like narrator in a story, I think that I see myself in Prue. I think there are a lot of books where the main character is like very interesting or very like sassy or very over the top or even like very shy, or it's just like there's a story about these people or this narrator because they're a really interesting person, right? And I feel like Prue is pretty, I don't want to say normal, but like all the things she does, I'm like, yeah, that's like probably what I would do in that scenario too. She's like sort of reserved, but also like really smart. Not that those two things are like mutually exclusive. Anyway, I just feel like she seems like a normal person, and her life is really interesting to read about, and she talks about like nature a lot and like what she cares about because of like the way that she grew up and the way that like society sees her and stuff. She's very like inside her own mind and kind of has to be her own friend. Not that she doesn't have any friends, but she's like so smart and just navigating like what is important to her. She's really loyal and kind to other people, but also doesn't get wrapped up in what other people want from her. She's like really independent, a really independent thinker. Anyway, I just love it so much. I feel like I didn't really say too much of the plot. I don't really want to say too much of the plot. I highly recommend it. If you don't love reading like old-timey books, it is a bit of a mindset shift that you need to have to kind of like follow the story, just because it's like old-timey English kind of, but then also like this dialect they have. Reason that I'm telling you about this book. I recently launched a new sewing pattern, which is the Connie tree skirt. We are gonna loop back around to the book. This is a circuitous story, so sorry. I've been working really hard on this pattern and I was sort of unsure of how it would go because it's very much a different type of pattern than I usually do. I usually do garments. This is a like home decor / holiday pattern. I sort of had really low expectations because I didn't want to be like disappointed. And it has been going really well. Like it's been received really well. It's just been like this big undertaking. I only do like 2 or 3 patterns a year because they are so much work. And so it's just been this big like work hurdle that I've had, right? And so because I like achieved this thing, my husband got me a present, which is so nice. I'm not a big present person. I'm really bad at giving presents. He is a huge present person, both in receiving and giving them. He's very good at it. Case in point, the day after my launch, I went into my office and there was a little gift on my desk waiting for me. And it was a first edition, like a first printing of Precious Bane, which is like the nicest present you could get me. Like I said, I'm not like a huge present person, especially just like meaningless stuff. I don't just want a bunch of clutter. But he like purposely, he knows that's my favorite book, and he purposely like went out and found a first edition of it, I think like on eBay or something, I don't know. Planned ahead of time to get it for me. And I just thought that was like the sweetest thing ever. Anyway, so that's why I've been thinking about Precious Bane, and you should read it if that sounds up your alley at all.
I in fact did not finish my beanie, but I am really close. I'm about to do the decreases at the very top, so I'm feeling pretty good about this. Also, it's just cute, and I'm proud of myself. I woke up a little bit early so that I could knit down by the stream, which is literally like, I mean, you can see the cabin back there. It's just like a straight walk. It's super private. There's a little table here. And I was planning to knit here like all day yesterday, but then it was like kind of rainy. And anyway, so I knit like on the little balcony up there instead, which was beautiful. But I am checking out in just a little bit. My trip is coming to an end, which I'm really sad about. However, I decided that when I go through Portland on my way back home to Eugene, which is like, Eugene is 2 hours south of Portland. Because I'm passing through Portland, I felt like it was a perfect opportunity to do some fabric and yarn shopping. So I'm gonna be hitting up a bunch of my favorite spots, and I have been planning out like a bunch of fall projects that I want to work on and fabric I need for them, yarn stuff, which we've been talking about like this whole trip. And I will be vlogging it, but I'm going to do a separate vlog for it. Otherwise, this would be like 7 hours long. So if you're interested in my fabric and yarn shopping journey, that will probably be out really soon. Or maybe it's already up. Hard to say. Can you guys hear our friend I swear every time I start talking, he starts honking. There he is again. Okay, anyway, I had the best time at the cabin. It was so much fun. I want to come back here with my family actually because there are 3 bedrooms. Didn't need that much space, but I could definitely bring both my kids, my husband, and it would be a really nice place to just like chill with my family. In fact, I probably, when I go home, I'm gonna book another trip here. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm sorry that I didn't like accomplish any projects, but I did watch a lot of knitting content on YouTube last night and I'm feeling really inspired. I have so many ideas of things I want to make next. I think that I have healed my my insecurities about knitting. I was feeling like sort of a failure and now I just feel happy and excited for all the things I'm going to make. Okay, love you guys. I'll see you next time.